Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, hey, welcome to today's webinar. My name is Warren Stokes. I'm going to be your host and presenter today. Got an awesome topic with pretty broad interest. We'll be talking about the 7 secrets of productivity in Microsoft Outlook. A little bit of background and some organizational points. You can minimize the webinar control panel by clicking the orange arrow in the upper left, give you a little more room to view the screen. And today's webinar is being recorded. You can access it later or share it with your friends. In this webinar, we're going to be looking at some very useful tips and tricks and secrets that Outlook gurus have used for years to help get more organized and increase their productivity. You'll be able to impress your friends, get more organized, get more done, and a lot of you are in business and you'll make more money. So I've got 7 concepts and techniques that I'm going to show you today. Let's go ahead and get started in talking about using color to be more organized. You know, color is a really useful thing. Research shows that people can interpret color a lot of times better than they can just rows of data or columns of information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some live examples of how to do that using Microsoft Outlook. So will switch my screen over and I'm going to go right into my Microsoft Outlook calendar. So as you can see, I've already been using color to organize my calendar. And as you may know, you can actually view your calendar a number of different ways. But what I'd like to focus in on here is how these in this case, appointments are color-coded. And the idea is that you can at a glance see the type of appointments that you've set as an example. So you can see I have green, orange, yellow, red, different colors, and they have different meanings to me. Now each of you can assign your own meanings to these. And a very simple concept is just as you create an appointment, and I'll just create one called an example appointment here, you can pick the categorize feature here and select the category which has an associated color. By the way, you can create as many categories as you like, and you can name them whatever you want. You can see I use color pretty extensively. And what will happen then is when I give this a color by checking one of these boxes, it will color that green. So for example, I have one that's called webinar. There we go. You can actually color them with more than one color as a color code. So that once I've saved that, you'll actually see it on my calendar there is the one I just created, the example one that's in that orange-red color. And so you can easily use color to organize your calendar, but there's actually some color concepts that you can use using other Outlook functions. One of them is color coding contacts. I'm going to come back to some of these things and talk in a little more in depth here in a moment, but just to give you kind of a quick overview, you can also use those color category functions to organize your contacts visually. So you can see here I have a contact that's color coded with 3 or 4 different colors. Same idea. You can create as many categories as you want and you can color code your contacts. It's just a useful way to visually identify certain attributes of this contact in this case. You can also color code things like tasks, and that's useful to perhaps you want to prioritize your tasks. And by the way, I'm just switching my view in Outlook for those of you who need a little kind of advice on navigation. I'm going from my calendar to my contacts, in this case to my tasks, and I've color coded these tasks, and it's the same idea. I can open up a task and see at a glance the color coding for that task. So for example, in this case, I've got it marked high priority and kind of a nice bright yellow color. I'm also able then to sort my tasks by priority in this case and color. So it gives you a way to kind of stay organized and again using color to get more organized. I'm going to show you a couple of interesting tips here, and one of the things that you can do is you can, in your calendar, you can automatically color code appointments by using a simple conditional formatting rule. You notice that I have this, today's webinar is the 7 secrets of productivity in Outlook. And it's colored purple. Well, it's interesting. If I go to create an appointment and I use a keyword, in this case, watch what happens here. If I put the word webinar into my appointment subject line, and I'll create a new one just to show you how this works, what will happen is that will automatically be colored purple. Pretty cool, huh? And another example of that would be, let's say that I wanted to create, I'll create a staff meeting. I'll show you how all this is done here in a moment. But I'm going to say I'm going to create a staff meeting here. And what will happen with the staff meeting is that you'll see when I save it, it's colored red. Very neat. And it's basically what we're doing here is we're using conditional formatting in the calendar function, and let me just show you how we do that. So in your calendar you'll have various tabs across the top. What you would do to create this automatic color coding is go into the View tab, select View Settings, and you'll see that you have an Advanced View Settings dialog that comes up, and you click Conditional Formatting. And so what I've done is I've created conditions that say if the term staff is in the appointment subject line, then it creates color red. If the word proposal is in it, it'll create a different color. And the way I do that is I just create conditions. And in this case, I'll just say, we'll just do one that if the, let's do a new one. Let's just call this quote. Okay? If the word quote is in the subject line, like maybe I'm blocking off the time to generate a quote, and I want to, let me just go back here for a second. Let's do a new condition rather. I'll add a condition, and I'm going to call this quote. And let's say that I want that color to be, let's pick a nice deep blue for that. And the condition is, if the word quote is in the subject line of my appointment, it will color code it blue. Okay? So I'm going to just show you how that would work. I'm going to go ahead and create an appointment here, and I'm going to put send a quote to Bill Smith. And you can see that it's just going to pick up the term quote in this, and I'll save it, and there it is. It's a blue appointment that now at a glance I know my day is full of demonstrations for green, webinars for purple, quoting activity for blue, staff meetings for red, and so on. So I hope you find that tip useful. That's the use of color coding to get more organized with your calendar. And of course we also talked about color coding tasks and contacts as well. It just helps you get more organized. So why don't we talk a little bit about inserting content from templates. Now that's a good idea. Basically this is a huge time saver, so I'm going to show you a couple of ways to do that. And I'm going to go back in, and we're just going to start by just creating an email. So I just clicked my email button in Outlook, and I'm going to send an email to my boss, David Archer. And I want some information in here. Then it's going to be based on a template. Now, first of all, I'll show you where this template information is created, and then I'll show you how you insert it. See the Insert tab here on the top of my email? If I click that and I go over to this button called Quick Parts, you can see I have a whole library of saved content. And in this case, watch what happens if I click this keyword best. It brings up that block of content. So I can then, finish my email, click send, put a subject line on it, and away I go. So what I did there is I basically just selected a block of content from saved templates, and it auto-populated into that email. I could just send this email, but let me just show you again, just so we're crystal clear on how I did that. I just went to Insert, Quick Parts, and I selected from my list of available templates. But there's a cooler way, an easier way to do it, and each one of those templates can have a keyword. So if I wanted to just create a blurb of content or a block of content that used the keyword info, you can see that it populated that entire email, including any images, signature lines, or anything else with that block of content. So this, again, it's called Quick Parts, and all you do is you set up these templates over here. To create a new one, you simply take a block of copy, select it, say Quick Parts, and save that selection to the Quick Part gallery, and I'm going to call this an example, just so you can see how that works again. Okay, so I just created a new Quick Part. Now let's say that I'm starting over with a new email, and watch what happens here. I'm going to type in the word example and hit F3. This is the key, and it inserted that block of copy. I'm going to add my signature by typing in the keyword SIG and hit F3. Isn't that just awesome? What a time saver. So you can create as many blocks of content as you like, and again, they're saved in this feature called Quick Parts. There's a library. You can scroll through them if you just want to visually find the one you want, but I find it useful to use those keywords. You can insert content into emails. Now check this out. You can also insert content into appointments. Maybe I want to have some pre-made agenda content. And, oh, by the way, as I start typing, it starts to recognize a potential keyword, and I can just hit enter from there. I don't have to hit F3. But here's my agenda for a meeting, for example. Pretty awesome way to insert content into an appointment. You can also enter this kind of content, as it's called auto text, into Word documents. You can enter content like this into tasks. If I wanted to create a new task and I wanted some content in it, just show you how that would work. I could create a new task. In this case, let me just go to the home and say new task. And as many of you know, task is just an Outlook function. And I could say, Bill, here's the, I want to talk to you about this information, and here's my task content. And again, with tasks, remember, you can also color code them. So that's awesome. So we're starting to learn how we can use color coding to get more organized, how to automatically assign colors to appointments, and how to insert content from templates into emails, tasks, and pretty much any Microsoft form. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take it a little, we're going to step this up a little bit, and we're going to talk about using the magic of rules. I call it magic because it really seems like magic when I start doing this. Let me show you a little bit about the magic of rules. So the idea of rules is that it basically is a Microsoft function that allows you to do certain predetermined activities based on rules that you set. So I'm going to give you an easy example here to start off with. And notice here up in my ribbon, I have an area called rules. Pretty straightforward. You can manage existing rules, or you can create a new rule. The idea is that you can create a rules, or actually any number of different conditions and rules, but here's an example. If my subject line contains this phrase, and then I want it to go into this folder, okay, just select the folder, and away you go. A good example would be, maybe I wanted to create a rule that said every time I get an email from my boss, that I put it in this folder that says read later. Okay, that was supposed to be a little bit funny there, but you get the idea. I also use this pretty extensively to move emails that I don't have to look at the moment into emails to read later, or I have one that's actually based on some Profit CRM alerts that go into a folder that automatically put it in there, and I can see if there's new ones in there and so on. But you can create email rules that will move these emails from any folder based on pretty much any condition, and it's all based on setting up these rules. So I'm going to show you a couple of the existing rules that I have. And you can see that I have a number of rules, and these are basically just if I have one that has the Avidian questionnaire, it'll go into a folder. If it's from a certain person, it would go into another folder. There's my Profit email alerts, and basically this is how we keep track of all the rules that we've created. And to create a new rule, I just click the button, New Rule. And the idea here is that it'll move a variety of things, and I won't go through every single one of these, but you can move messages from a person to a certain folder. You can move emails that have certain words in the subject to a certain folder. You can send move messages that's sent to a group, like a specific distribution list, to a folder. You can also flag messages from someone for follow-up automatically. And these are just some of the examples of the magic of rules. But the idea is to stay more organized, use your time efficiently, and don't have to manually move all of these things around. So I just love the concept of rules and staying organized by setting up some of those. So we're moving pretty quickly, and I wanted to reiterate that today's webinar is being recorded. Feel free to either request the recording, or if you've, I believe we'll send you an automatic email with the link to the recording. But either way, feel free to share this amongst your team or use it for reference later. So now we're going to talk about something called the Quick Access Toolbar. It's a really handy dandy little feature built throughout Outlook, and it's basically a device that will help save time. You'll see the quick access toolbar below the ribbon, and you'll see a number of different icons, and I'm going to use a live example here of, let me just go into one of my contacts here, and I'll look up, let's see, Rose McDonald here, and I'll show you some of this quick access toolbars here. So in this case, I'm going to set a quick access, some quick access toolbar functions on an Outlook contact, but as you'll see, you can do the same thing throughout the different Outlook forms like tasks, emails, appointments, and so on. So the idea of the quick access toolbar is it simply adds shortcuts to this row of icons down here that my cursor is pointing at. You can actually access the quick access toolbar options just by selecting that drop down, and for example, I can just easily add one right here that says, let's say I'll put my delete X on there. See how it added that X, that delete button? Now watch what happened when I hover over these. You can see that it gives me the description of what that quick access is. The idea here is it saves you time by having to click in to one or more of these other ribbon settings so that they're always displayed regardless of which tab you're on. Pretty awesome. Now I don't want to click delete on this item, but you can see over here I might want to call the prospect or save the changes to it or link it to my CRM, which I'm going to get to later in the call today. So these are some of the ways that you can add items to your quick access toolbar. Now, one of the other ways that you can do it is you can actually be on one of these items up above and say, I want to, for example, add one of these custom functions up here to my quick access toolbar. And so I can just, when I'm hovered over that particular icon, I could say add it to my quick access toolbar. And I just added the feature called stop following the profit item. So again, I can take any one of these from up here and I can add it to my quick access toolbar down here. Pretty awesome. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about something that's probably on a lot of people's minds, and that's social media today. So social media, it comes in a variety of forms, but I'm going to use the example of, say, LinkedIn, Facebook, there's Twitter, there's a lot of them. But did you know that there is an Outlook social connector that's available to you for free? If you want to find what I'm using here, you can easily just Google the term Outlook Social Connector, and you'll see the links to download these. But what this does is some pretty cool things. So one of the concepts here is that you can get you can actually see some very interesting information, say from an email. And I'm going to go into one of my emails here. I'll just say, again, from my boss. Now notice down below here all of this cool stuff that's now available to me because I've got the Outlook Social Connector installed. I mean, look at this. I can go click on this button here and I can take a look at David Archer's LinkedIn profile with a click right from the inbound email. This is my boss. He's a pretty nice guy. Feel free to call and introduce yourself someday. But I'm showing you this to basically give you an idea of how some of the power of the Outlook Social Connector. Notice too that in addition to that, you can also track various things like emails and things like that as well. But that profile comes up as well as any other social media profiles that they might be connected to, or you're both connected to, down here at the bottom. Another function of the Outlook Social Connector is the ability to take and create, download your LinkedIn contacts. Now this has a couple of important functions. One of them is it's just nice to be able to say I want to easily get all of my LinkedIn contacts into Outlook. And there you go. It's just another download. Again, if you wanted to install that, you just basically, you can Google the term LinkedIn contact download and for Outlook, and you'll just find the link and away you go. And by the way, if you need any help or you have questions about this, feel free to either put your questions in the chat control panel today, or you can also just email us after the webinar. We'd be glad to help. So the Outlook Social Connector is very valuable, and again, it basically just brings up social media connections in any of the Outlook functions like email and appointments and so on. I'm going to show you a little bit more about the Outlook Social Connector and how it's used in a CRM environment here towards the end of today's webinar, but let's go take a look at the next concept. And what I want to do right now for you is just kind of give you a bit of a get your mind around all of this Outlook stuff, and I'll try to sort of glue it together in terms of what Outlook is really all about. I'm going to basically explain the 4 basic functions of Outlook, which many of you know by heart because you use Outlook. I mean, if you're on this webinar, it's obviously an important tool for you. But there are 4 basic functions of Outlook and 2 kind of what I'd call secondary functions. Turn to the person next to you and just ask them, do you know the 4 basic functions of Outlook, and see if they know. All right? I got that from a big seminar series that I was involved in. But if you're in a group, see how many people know this. Well, I'll just tell them to you right now, and then I'll talk about why. The important thing is why these functions exist. So we all know Outlook has an email client, and that's used for communicating via email. Duh. Everyone knows about Outlook email, and pretty much everyone uses Outlook calendaring, so that's one of them. So that's 2. The Outlook contact form is a 3rd, the V-card format, and tasks. Those 4 things are the primary functions of Outlook. Extra credit for anyone that wants to guess, and you can put your guess right now on the chat control panel. What are the other 2 primary functions of Outlook? Or I'm going to call them secondary functions. Maybe it's just my opinion, but give you a moment to think about that. But again, Outlook basically helps you get organized in 4 primary ways: through having a very robust email tool, calendaring, contacts, and tasks. Okay, I'm still waiting for the guesses on the other 2 secondary functions of Outlook. We'll see if anyone gets them here. But well, before I disclose those, I'm going to talk about the importance and the meaning of why these Outlook functions exist. So we all know about email. It's so that you can communicate via email. But it's not quite as obvious when you start talking about tasks and calendaring. What's the difference? I hear people are often confused about that. So let me explain why there are 2 different ways of managing your time, one called calendar or appointments, and the other is called tasks. Think of it this way, that you use calendaring when you want to have a block of time on your calendar. You set an appointment. It blocks off time. So how is that different than a task? Well, a task just reminds you to do something. It pops up a reminder. It has a due date. It might have a priority and some other things. This is just Outlook functionality. But it just reminds you to do something. It by itself does not block off time on your calendar to do it. Some people, rightly, use both the calendar and a task if it's a very important thing. So you can track the completion of tasks, and you can block off time on your calendar to get those tasks done. So hopefully that's demystified that a little bit. And of course, contacts. This is another sometimes confusing thing, because in the world of business and Outlook, and especially contact management tools and CRM, the term contact can mean different things. But in today's conversation, what I wanted to explain, and the Outlook terminology, is a contact is really the record of a person. It's not a transaction, nor is it a company record or an account record. It's just a person, their name, their contact information, notes that you might put into the record, and so on. So a contact is a person. Now, I mentioned the term company and account and things like that, and there will be some bonus material at the end of this call where I'll get into some of those more kind of ancillary advanced topics of how we can extend some of this crucial functionality of Outlook. But I'll get there here in a moment. So hopefully that helps clarify, just kind of to get your mind around why Outlook exists like it does. Did you know there's like 700 million Outlook users? So you're in good company if you're on this webinar and you're using Outlook, I can tell you that. And the whole point is to get more organized, so you can get more done, be more effective, and ultimately, if you're in business, make more money. That's what it's about. So there's another little tip that I'm going to share with you, and it's how to transform emails directly into contacts, creating contacts out of emails, creating tasks from emails, and even appointments. Here's how that works. Let's go back into my email client, and let's say that I wanted to take this email here and I wanted to create a contact from it. I just take that email and drag it over my contact icon and let go of my mouse. And what happens here, well, in this case I've got Profit CRM installed, so it's basically looking for duplicates. But with that, I can create an Outlook contact. Just drag it over the contact and it creates a contact. I can drag this over my appointment, my calendar icon, and with a click it creates an appointment. Today's sales meeting was moved. Here's the new meeting date, and it's created an appointment by dragging that email. Now the content of the email becomes the notes in the appointment. Very nice. Big time saver there. Another thing you can do is you can take this, and this might be something I have to do. I can drag it over my task button and it'll create a task. And then remember, we can do all that other cool stuff that we're talking about. Color code it, categorize it, insert content automatically, and all those other cool things that we've learned today. So that's how you can save a lot of time by just the simple act of transforming an email by dragging and dropping an email into your contacts, tasks, or appointment buttons. Now, so that was 7 secrets of Outlook productivity there for you, but I'm going to add a bonus round here for you all. And I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about how to extend Outlook into being a more robust contact manager, or for some of you, you might be interested in tracking sales or customer activity. Now, by the way, if you didn't already know this, our company is Avidian Technologies, and we're the makers of Profit CRM, which is an Outlook add-in. So it's a bit of a shameless plug, but it's such a great fit. I wanted to share with you how Profit can add functionality to Outlook. So we're going to take a look at that. So what Profit is, it's a CRM tool or contact management tool that adds this functionality to Outlook, and it does so in the form of these folders here on the left. Once you've installed Profit CRM, you'll see a new set of folders, and you navigate into Profit exactly like you do in any folder in Outlook. You just click on it. So in this case, I've clicked on my Contact Manager folder. And by the way, I'm going to show you some of how these Outlook tips and tricks and secrets can be used with the CRM or Contact Management tool as well. But in this case, I'm just showing you that I'm in my Contact Manager, and this is a list of all my active contacts. Now, if I were to double click on this, you'll see it brings up that person's Outlook vCard. So in Profit, we use the Outlook form for a variety of reasons. One, people who use Outlook may already have a lot of these contacts in Outlook. They find it already familiar. Another one is that it allows you to synchronize any of these contacts into your phone automatically. And by the way, if you want more information on Profit, feel free to contact us. We really are here to just add some value to your day. So I wanted to show you a few things, though, that you can do by getting the Outlook extension or Profit CRM added to Outlook. So here's a list of all of my contacts, but maybe I want to create a view that has some filtered down so that I might want to do some specific things. Let's say I wanted to look at a list of all of my current clients. Okay, so here's a list of all of my current clients. Now, how did I create that view? I just went in here to the little filter tool and added the category filtered by client. So maybe what I want to do is invite all my clients to a webinar or a seminar or a barbecue or a golf outing. So remember, I just created a view of all of my clients. This isn't all my contacts, just my clients. So I just selected them all, or some subset of these, with my keyboard and cursor here. And I'm going to right click and say I want to send them all a group email. So this is a specific function of Profit, not resident in Outlook. But notice what it does is it creates a recipient list to that targeted list. You can choose your format. You can add a personalized salutation. And when I click Create Email, guess what comes up here? You guessed it, an Outlook email. Now I'm going to put my content in here using what? From the audience? Okay, it's that ability to insert content, right. Look how easy that was. Now I'm going to add my subject line. By the way, I haven't forgotten, and it looks like I may have a winner here in my contest that I was talking about earlier. So I'll announce that in a moment. But notice how easy it was for me to then create an email that's personalized, an individual Outlook email that will be sent to everyone on that list, in this case all of my current clients. I use that quick that little quick parts insert trick there I showed you to create the content. I click send and everyone will get a nice personalized email from me to you. Now I want to make a distinction here in terms of how these emails function. First of all, this is a very useful tool, as you can probably see, but it's not necessarily intended to replace those really major kind of CRM or contact management tools where you can send out 10,000 or 100,000 emails. But then again, there's some benefits to that. And if you notice here, I'm going to just find one of these emails that, I'll just find an email that I get all the time. Actually, I'll probably just look at my deleted items and find them in there. You'll get these emails that are basically, you can tell they're not a real email. Get them all the time, but I'm going to show you what the Outlook emails look like, the profit emails going through Outlook. And here's an example. Each one of these is individually addressed, but notice too that I can also have images and content because it's an HTML Outlook email. I'm just showing you that they come into the recipient looking like an Outlook email. So you can create as many views like this as you want, and just a couple of other quick things. I'll just go back to all my contacts. I'll show you that you can also do a lot of tracking with this tool in terms of tracking things like activities with the contact. So if I wanted to see all the emails related to this contact Rose McDonald, I can just go into my activity search and see them all. Notice that I can see emails that are in any of my local folders. I can even see archived emails, which is a nice thing because if you use the archiving function in Outlook, you don't have to use all those folders like some giant filing cabinet. Just let them auto archive. You can still access them with Profit. And shared emails. So in this case, you can also track emails that are shared amongst your team. That's a subject for another day if you want to get into details on a little bit more on that. But you can link files and documents to the contact, and very importantly, you can set some automation. One of the neat things about the Profit add-in to Outlook is for any contact, I can set a series of automated follow-up. So you can basically create a series of reminders to call or emails in the future, and basically ensure that you don't lose track of this contact. And then there's a secondary concept here. Oh, speaking of secondary concepts, I wanted to share with you what those other two primary functions of Outlook are. One of them is called a post, and if you're interested in that, I'm just going to digress for a moment and finish up that part of the conversation and go back to that. In Outlook, you can create folders wherein they could be something very specific to post information. In this case, sales leads. These are sales leads here. Now in this case, notice that it's called a new post, and if I click that, it's not an email. It just posts this kind of as an informational document in that folder. So that's another one, posting. And the sixth one was journaling using the notes function in Outlook. Not many people use this that I know. I guess maybe because we are in the CRM business, but there's also a note-taking function which has some usefulness as well. So those are those two other bonus little functions of Outlook for you all. But I was going to get back in here and talk about a secondary function, or actually a very important function of the Profit add-in to Outlook, and that is the ability to track opportunities. Let's say Rose replies to one of my emails one day or calls me on the phone and says, I'm interested in buying your product or service. So literally with a couple of clicks, I'm tracking this as what we call an opportunity. Now an opportunity is a transactional record, unlike the contact record. This is where this is a customizable form, by the way, and I can keep track of the status. Is it active, won, lost, on hold, what the stage that we're in. Okay, see these stage setting, this just represents your sales process. We'll help you through this if you want to take a look at Profit sometime. We can put things like probability, estimated close date, revenue numbers, that sort of thing, and some kind of a description, maybe 20 CRM users. Hey, that would be nice. And down below I can just start keeping track of my activity, either through automated notes, left a voicemail, scheduled an appointment, made a phone call, or I can type in notes here in the notes area. I'm going to show you kind of the outcome of all this here in a moment, but you see how I'm just basically tracking the activity having to do with this particular opportunity. Now once I have a number of these opportunities, Oh, by the way, you can set required fields like we have here. But you've captured a little information about that opportunity, and then you can manage all of these opportunities in a view called Opportunity Manager. It's just a list view of all of the leads or opportunities I'm working on. You can create and save different views here. This is just intended to be a fairly quick overview, by the way. I could sort this different ways. I will share with you one little secret of success for CRM is if I have an opportunity, I can mark a next step date on it, and then I could sort my entire list of opportunities or leads by my next step. And I can see the next step date, what I'm supposed to do, and just stay organized. A couple of other ways to stay organized with the Outlook CRM plugin, maybe by oldest modified date. Go back and look through your leads and sort them by oldest modified date. You can sort them by estimated close date. Some deals I'm still working on. Yes, I realize it's getting close to the end of the month, but I still got 5 or 6 deals I'm working on closing. Hey, here's something that everyone ought to relate to. Let's sort my list by the value of the opportunities. Want to see my top 20 opportunities? Here they are. Here's who they were with, the estimated close date, the status, the stage, the next step, pretty much everything I need to know. If I want to create a quick report, by the way, throughout Profit, you'll see the Excel button. Click, click, got that data in an Excel report. I can now send this via an email, save it, do whatever I want with, because right now it's just an Excel report. So I'm going to send this to my boss and say this is my Warren's top 20, just giving you an idea what you can do once you get some data in the system. There we go. So opportunity management, one more concept here, and then we'll wrap up. And that's the ability to get useful information out of Profit. I'm just going to show you a view called Profit Analytics. This all comes with the CRM add-in Profit, and I'm going to show you some examples of just taking I like to think of it this way. All this data is interesting, and that's kind of the what of it all. What happened? But this is so what. I mean, this shows you, for example, which sales rep generated the most activity in the last 30 days. It's just coincidence that that it's there we go. I'm sorry, I just got a note handed to me. There we go. In any event, there's 12 of these dashboards, and you can take a look at your pipeline, your activities, your revenue forecasts, and so on. That's just a little quick overview of Profit CRM, and I'm glad I got a chance to share that with you as well. So that will pretty much wrap up today's webinar. I appreciate everyone's time. I really trust that I've added some value to your day. If you would like any information or had any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to just reply to the webinar invitation or just send me an email personally. I would be glad to help get you to the right folks. Thank you and have a wonderful day.